don't think we can say, is it just in tech anymore? Tech is everywhere.
Hello and welcome to the Attollo Conversations with me, Michael Heyman. It's the series shedding light on technology, disruption and the what's next for the energy industry. My guest today is Brett Moffatt. He's the Managing Director of Talent Intelligence, the global leadership risk management company that solves critical talent challenges. Working around the globe, Brett and his team help recruit and retain talent that supercharge the performance of business. Now, he says this: the idea of working 9 to 5 until you receive a gold watch at the age of 60 is dying out fast. Brett, welcome. But how quickly do we want that watch? And does it have to be gold?
I think we absolutely need to change the expectations of what retention and longevity means in an organisation. I think we need to start with the point that even though employment contracts are contracts, we need to think about the emotional contract we have with our employees. We need to start thinking about what both parties can get out of the relationship for the time that we're together.
But that statement about the hanging on until you're 60, I mean, it speaks to a broader truth, doesn't it? That I guess people want things much more instantaneously these days. People want career advancement. Is this just something that's happening in tech, or do you see that as being a sort of, work-wide issue in terms of the demands of very talented people?
I don't think we can say, is it just in tech anymore? Tech is everywhere.
Right.
And so many organisations going through what are called digital transformations. Tech is becoming the very hub of what an organisation is about. So you bring in tech people to your organisation, they are going to have different expectations, and that culture is going to change everything about the organisation.
Okay, so that's one of the drivers. Is there a generational driver here as well?
I think there's a huge generational driver. If you think about the US at the moment, 10,000 people are turning 65 every day, and they're going to turn 65 every day for the next 20 years.
That's a lot of people.
It's a lot of people. There's a lot of people turning 65 and, by definition, retiring over there. So I think that companies need to be smarter about handing over to more junior members of the team now.
So when you're advising leaders of organisations, what's the central angst? I mean, is it that kind of retiring end of the workforce, or is it the up and coming end in terms of who you need to keep happy and on side?
I think that the real challenge at the moment is how are you keeping the new generations of employees happy in the workplace. I think that if you're 60, you've got a lot to offer, but there is an expectation that at some stage in the next 10 years you probably won't be working there anymore. But new generations coming in, millennials, Generation Z, they're coming in and they've got the next 30 years in an organisation. I think that if employers aren't thinking about keeping them happy, they're missing a trick.
I mean, presumably they're not thinking about the next 30 years at one organisation. I mean, mobility seems to be a big part of the mindset of a lot of people.
I think this is the point. We just need to stop thinking that people are going to be with us forever. We need to think about what we can get out of the employees and what the employees can get out of us while they're here, whether it's 1, 2 or 3 years.
And when you're parts of the economy, which is kind of energy, oil and gas, when you're looking at the specifics here, when you look at the kind of the debate about talent and how you retain it, are there lessons from other parts of the business world, or do you think they're quite unique to particular sectors?
Oil companies, by definition, are multi-site and highly complex. And when we think about talent in organisations like that, again, we're thinking not just about the traditional sources of talent and the traditional skill sets. We're thinking about what are those organisations going to look like in the next 20 years. And typically, they're going to be automated, they're going to be digital in nature. And so looking at how we're bringing people into those organisations is again going to change the way those organisations look.
And do the leadership teams themselves need to change as well as the people are coming in? But what about the kind of decision-making structures, the hierarchies, if you will, that are actually making those decisions? Are they going to have to change with the times?
I think it would be nice if they could, but I think that the best option here is, as I said earlier, to try and make sure that we've got a generational shift from the current leaders, and by leaders I'm not necessarily talking about the senior people in organisations, I'm talking about the people who know how the organisation works. How is that information and knowledge, how's the soul of the organisation being transferred to a new generation?
And one last tip, somebody who's watching this is in a leadership position, they're thinking about risk, talent flight. What's something that they could do right now to make themselves a better risk-resistant business?
They can stop the reliance on executive search. They spend a lot of time, they invest very heavily in internal succession. But so often, when a vacancy occurs, an organisation looks at the internal successes and realises that actually those people they thought were ready now aren't ready now. Even the ready later people are ready much later than they thought. So their option then is go out into the marketplace via an executive search firm. And whilst they're great at what they do, it is very reactive. If there's one thing that an executive in any industry can do right now is start connecting with executives in the marketplace today to build an integrated succession.
So don't wait for the distress, look at it as the opportunity.
Yeah, well, manage the risk.
Brett Moffatt, thank you very much indeed.
Okay, thank you.
And a big thank you to Brett Moffatt, making the case there for a new approach to talent retention. He says businesses have to play the long game if they want to get their people strategies right. And in a new digital era, different generations have different expectations. But one thing remains constant: relationships matter. Invest the time and effort into them and achieve the continuity, and in so doing, transfer the soul of the very business to a future generation. I'll see you for the next edition of the Attollo Conversations.